honey is spoken about in the Christian Bible, in the Jewish Bible, in the Quran. William Shakespeare references honey, and honey carries a lot of cultural weight in the world, across all cultures, and is seen by a lot of people to have some almost mystical, almost magical even, qualities that just suggest it has to be really good for you. And so it's a very popular substitute for sugar because of its sweetness and the idea that it is natural as opposed to sugar, which, well, actually is natural. So go figure. Welcome to Shapefixer. I'm Andrew. I'm a nutritionist and I'm a biology teacher, and I'm going to make this video about honey from the beginning, where it comes from. We'll start at the flower, okay? And we're going to talk very quickly, sort of honey 101. What is it? How is it made? And you can decide for yourself whether or not you want to make it part of your diet, and at least then you can do so with a proper understanding of what it actually is. Right, so here we go. Let's start with the flower. Flowers are little traps to attract insects or other creatures to pollinate them, to take the pollen from one flower to the next flower to help the plant make babies, to help it reproduce. That's the point of a flower. And it's pretty and attractive and noticeable. And it also has a scent, which will bring pollinators to it. And most times they provide something called nectar, which is basically sugar water. It's a liquid that is secreted in the flower, full of glucose, fructose, which is fruit sugar. Glucose and fructose are very similar. They even have the same chemical formula. So fructose, glucose, and sucrose, which is what we have, what we call table sugar. So it's a combination of those three sugars in water with a few other compounds like aromatic oils to make it smell nice. So that's great. It will trick the insect into coming into the flower. What do bees do specifically? Bees don't only drink nectar for their own energy needs. They actually have a way of processing the nectar and taking it back to the hive as food for the bees that are in the hive. Okay, obviously the queen, the young bees that aren't yet old enough or strong enough to actually leave, the developing grubs, the baby bees. So what a bee will do with this sugar water is drink it down, fill up its gut, secrete an enzyme called invertase. And that enzyme breaks the sucrose down into glucose and fructose, because the two simple sugars here are glucose and fructose. Sucrose is actually just a combination of the two, and it's the two linked together. So the bees break that chain. Oh, now you have glucose and fructose. So now you only have glucose and fructose in this bee's stomach or gut. Those bees fly back to the hive and they pass it on by mouth to a younger worker bee that has not yet doing trips outside the hive. And what that bee does with it is it processes that in its gut and converts a small amount of the glucose to gluconic acid, which is a preservative, and it also produces hydrogen peroxide into the mix, which is an antimicrobial, antibiotic compound. That then forms the basis of the honey, because that second bee, once it has added gluconic acid and hydrogen peroxide to the sugar water, regurgitates it, some say vomit, regurgitates it back up again into the little cells of the honeycomb as a very, very wet, runny, watery, sugary liquid. All the other bees in the hive then sit on the honeycomb and flap their wings at high speed and create a draft, a warm draft, which evaporates a lot of the water out of this mix until it gets really thick and sticky. And then they put a waxy lid on that cell in the honeycomb, and there you have honey inside there. So it is sugar water, glucose and fructose, with gluconic acid and hydrogen peroxide, preservatives and antibiotics, and not that much water, so it's sticky rather than really, really runny. There will be some leftover aromatic oils and the odd mineral that was originally produced by the flower to attract the insects. So honey will have a smell, and it depends what flower it was actually originally made from, and will do something for the taste maybe. But it's sugar water, which is why when honey sits in a jar long enough and goes dry enough, it gets all crystallized and crunchy, because it's sugar. Those extra little minerals and the odd compound, the aromatic compound that makes it smell so lovely, may or may not, depending on what it is and what flower it came from, may or may not have some vague use in your body as a mineral or even a component of a vitamin. But eating honey to get access to those tiny trace elements that might make up 1%, if you're lucky, of the honey, is like justifying drinking full sugar Coke because you use it to swallow your vitamin pill. It's still Coke, it's still sugar. Honey is sugar, it just is. Now, you can eat it, you can do whatever you like, obviously, because it's free choice. And if honey to you is so lovely and so irresistible, and oh my goodness, it's so beautiful, the lovely golden color, the lovely aromatic smells from the flower, at least do that in the knowledge that it's not good for you. This whole mythical idea about honey is very outdated, very old-fashioned, very misleading, and pushed relentlessly by the food industry, by people who sell honey. There's an agenda. It's just sugar. Now, if you're happy with sugar and you're not somebody who is worried particularly about weight, and you don't have particularly chronic health conditions that can be solved by cutting sugar out of your diet, well, then eat honey. It's no better than sugar. It's bad for you. Now, we do things that are bad for us. I drink wine maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks. I'll have a glass or two of wine on every alternate weekend. Not because I think it's good for me. I know it's not good for me. I really, really, really enjoy it. If you really, really enjoy a spoonful of honey occasionally, then do it. If it's good for your mind and it makes you happy, do it. But do it in the knowledge that it is bad for you. Don't do it because you've been lied to and fooled into thinking that it's some kind of health product. And on the subject of natural, honey is natural. Well, honey is sugar from a plant processed by a bee to make it sticky. The other sugar you get is also sugar from a plant dried out into crystals to make it dry so that you can sprinkle it. It's as natural as honey. Sugar is made by plants. It's their energy source. The prime energy source for animals is fat. And I mean all animals. Even a cow is on a ketogenic diet. What? Cows eat grass. Well, they eat grass. They can't digest the grass. They get nothing out of the grass. Their gut microbes eat the grass, and the gut microbes produce fat and protein, and that's what the cow lives on. So yes, even a cow is on a ketogenic diet. You need to avoid honey. Honey is not good for you. It is sugar. It is glucose and fructose. That is what it is. Sorry about the bad news. Please subscribe to this channel. We do educational videos like this on a regular basis, and we have a lot of videos about diet and sugar in particular, and all the long list of terrible chronic diseases that are triggered by a diet, a Western diet that is way too high in glucose and fructose. So carbohydrates, sugar, same thing.